min raises. Casey has been playing very wide, has uh, has appeared to open a lot of pots, and hasn't really shown down much so far. So there's a fair chance that Casey, with the stack and a half, was really getting a little bit out of line there. So ace jack suited, certainly plenty good enough to rejam for value there. He's kind of unlucky that I actually did have a real hand. So as you can see, that's how you grow your stack in the first place, by value towning the weaker players at the table. And of course, just it's not easy if you get sucked out on all the time. So you kind of need your strongish hands to hold, as you could see there with the ace queen. But also really earned these chips just by small balling it up. I haven't done anything too outrageous. I've just chipped up by picking my spots well. And of course I've had a few hands, which always helps. Folds red to premium nerd, stacks it in for 14.5 BB. Sitting here with ace deuce off. This is a fold. Okay, I'm probably ahead of his range here. He's certainly going to be jamming a hand like 10-9. But let's think about it from a tournament point of view. You don't need to take every positive EV spot. I'm not actually convinced that this is positive EV once you factor in ICM, as we're approaching the bubble here. But more than that, Premium Nerd is not someone who I especially want to double up, because he strikes me as a half-decent player. Also, I don't need these chips. I mean, it would be nice to make the 1500 or 1450 extra chips that he's just stacked in, but at the same time, I'm sitting here with like 2.5x my starting stack. It would be great to get those chips, but let's not get too greedy and take every thin spot possible. Yes, I'm ahead of his range, but ace deuce doesn't crush anything. I mean, it really doesn't. Anything with a deuce in any hand with a deuce in it can't really, by default, can't really crush much. So not much of an option here. So we'll plug this into the wizard, and you can see if he's jamming 14%, it would be a terrible call, but he's jamming wider than that. I predict he's going to be jamming somewhere around maybe 45%. Probably a bit tighter, if I'm honest. I think there'll be a few more 9-8 suiteds than perhaps a queen 3 or a queen 7 off, something like that. But you can see here it's still gonna be the call will still be a losing play. And let's see the break-even point. He needs to be shoving over half of hands, considerably over half of hands. We're looking at about 53 odd percent till we start to see this becoming a decent play. But even then, we're not looking at that being a really good play or anything like that. Let's see if he's shoving like 75%. You can see that it's a comfy call, but I don't believe he's shoving that wide. There's no real reason to believe that. I haven't really seen that from him so far. So let's give him credit where credit's due. I think, given the amount of walks he's given me so far, it just doesn't really make sense for me to be making a call as wide as that. Now, sticks in the big blind here does appear slightly looser than the other two opponents. Also, no 3-bets so far, so he does have a tendency to call as opposed to 3-bet. I've only got 115 hands on him, but I think that should be enough of a sample for the purposes of drawing some kind of inferences as to his tendencies. So just got to pump it up a little more than usual. I make it 300 as opposed to my usual, which would be about 225 to 250 here. Reason being, if he is going to call loose, I might as well charge him for it. My hand's very strong, and if he's going to rejam on me, which he may well do, even though he hasn't rejammed so far, I'm going to snap him off. I'm really giving myself nice odds to call a rejam. So again, just growing my stack, chipping up by taking these down pre-flop. I could certainly be opening here with the queen 7. I think I really should have. I missed the trick here. Again, cross these big blind he's certainly the guy whose BB I want to be attacking most of all. At the same time, I've been very active, and you can't win every pot. You can't take every marginal spot. Get yet another walk. It's cool. Kind of happy that Premium Nerd jammed there saved me a decision. It would have been close. Yeah, not gonna miss this trick twice in a row. Got the old 7 high, but it's certainly good for a raise with the way this table's playing. And again, I know I don't want to like batter you guys over the head with making my point, but it really is important. Once you've got a healthy stack, it can really act as a magnet. You can certainly grow that stack so much easier once you've already doubled up, or once you've already got close to doubling up. It's so much easier. Kind of chips attract chips. So no one wants to play back against the chip leader. Everyone's scared for their tournament life. So I'm just chipping up and chipping up. Let the old ace 4 go there again. Usual reasons. I'm going to have a tough decision if sticks or premium nerd rejam on me. Also, more than that, I've been very active and my hand flops badly. You'll see a pattern emerging in that the hands that I am opening tend to be hands which flop okay, hands that have some post-flop potential. Going to certainly raise it up here, make it 250. Again, would be a little happier to get some action here than I would have with the ace-8 suited. And he does call, which I wish he'd rejammed on me, but what are you going to do? It's not a great flop to c-bet. Simple reason, I make it 275 here, he stacks it in, I have to fold. I don't want to fold when I got gut shot, I've got 2 overs, and I could even be ahead right now. So, again, I don't want to go into check call mode either, but I don't want to bet fold. Really tough spot. I guess bet fold isn't that bad an option, but you don't want to get raised off it. At the same time, check call might be doable. Check shove would certainly be doable. That would look uber strong. Whatever happens, I can't exactly be drawing dead, so I guess I could be dead to a chop. You never know. He could have queen 10, but it's just extremely unlikely. So I do check, I guess with the intention of just hoping that he checks back and I get to see another card to make some kind of hand. Not a great card for me, given that potentially a hand that would have checked back is 10x. A hand that would have called my raise pre-flop and checked back the flop is something like king 10. So proceeding with a bit of caution, I'm just going to check again. It's a really bad card for my hand, and no real reason to turn my hand into a bluff here. I got plenty showdown value. There's a fair chance I'm ahead, and as it was, I would have taken it down probably with a bet on the flop, but I'm not to know that. I think that although I played it quite passively, again, in keeping with this video, I'm not looking to make huge moves on people. I'm not looking to get into really awkward decisions, especially when I'm multi-tabling. I've just been small balling when I evaluate the flop as one that is worth proceeding on, as it was here. Unless I actually made a hand, this is not the flop that you want to be building a pot with nothing but ace high on. So I mean, it's rare for me to not c-bet, but that's there are times when it's a good idea to just fail to c-bet, and that was one of them. I'm just looking for my c-bet stat, which I don't appear to have in the HUD on this computer. As I mentioned earlier, I happen to play the session on my laptop as opposed to my usual desktop poker setup, so didn't have my usual setup. Let the old king 8 there go, just again because of the stack tension of sticks size, and I have been awfully active, particularly wailing on Crosty's BB quite a bit. Certainly going to let that go when it comes back round. Real awkward one here. I guess we could plug this one into the old wizard and take a look. I'm not mad on shoving it in, simply because I've got 9 high here. 9-4 suited doesn't flop that horribly. I mean, it's not great, but I've certainly seen hands that flop worse. Really kind of close one. Tell me I can jam it all comfortably if he's only calling 11%, but this guy, I don't know, he has been somewhat splashy so far. I'm gonna give him a range like this, perhaps about there, 25 odd percent. See, it's not good. We'll see the break-even point. We're looking at about 20%. It tails off kind of rapidly if he's calling much wider than 20 odd percent. So we'd be looking at it to be about here for this to be an acceptable jam. Against some good regs, yeah, you're going to have to jam this. This is as good as you're going to get in terms of picking a reasonable spot. But against this guy, who's been splashy so far, and also I've worked hard for these chips. I don't want to just gift them. I don't want to throw out like what is it, like 2,000 odd chips just to take down the 225 that's in the middle, unless I really need those chips. So just going to go with the old limpy stabby. I actually flopped really strong here. I've got some backdoor draws going on. I've got the flush draw right here. 9 high, probably not good right now, but you never know. So it's an easy bet. He calls. Can't really narrow his range down too much. I would expect a 3 to raise, a 6 to raise here, given that the board is pretty wet and my limp range was very wide pre. So doubt he has a 6. Could have a 7. Could have some kind of draw. Could just have a bear king high or something and be waiting to see what I do in the turn if I slow down before he pulls a move. All manner of potential hands that he could be holding. Turns the gin card for me. I've got the straight flush draw. In fact, yeah, it's what a card for me, really. I make the flush. I've got the straight flush draw. Okay, sure. I could be drawing dead to one card, the 8 of clubs, but in all reality, unless he is like 6-5, he probably doesn't have a boat right now. So he could have a flush, of course, but I don't really see when he's only got 3x the pot in his stack. I don't really see, and we've still got another card to see. I have to be willing to get it in here. So let's bet half pot. He calls again. Can't really narrow his range down too much. Probably a 7 at this point. Seems the most likely holding a hand like King 7. And the ace again. I could stack it in here for about 120% of the pot, but again, I'm trying to shear the sheep a bit here rather than fleece him. Is that the phrase? Whatever, you know what I mean. You can, what is it? You can only you can shear a sheep many times, but you can only skin it once, something like that. So I'm just trying to keep on growing my stack while not doing anything to arouse too much suspicion. So I just bet just about half his stack. In hindsight, I should have made this a touch smaller, 700 rather than 750, because people don't like to call off for more than 50% of their stack. But as it is, he does call it off, and he actually had a really, really weak hand, but he did have the straight flush draw, I guess, on the turn, but couldn't get rid on the river when he only had like a very measly 2 pair on this type of flop. That's just never going to be good. But you can see again, I just value time. I'm just chipping up. I'm just growing it without doing anything to OTT. Again, my stack is like a magnet for chips, and it does help that I'm making strong hands, of course. But this video wouldn't be very realistic if I weren't making strong hands and showing you how to get value for them. Or it wouldn't be very educational if it was just about bluffing all the time. Sticks doubles up. Premium Nerd makes a perfectly fine call with about 5 BB there. Certainly going to let the 10-5 suited go. 7-3, garbage hand. No real point plugging it into Wiz. It'll tell us it's positive EV in an NE2 kind of, with certainly in an NE2 situation if Sticks is calling tight enough, but I don't believe he's calling that tight here. He has been very active in this last couple of orbits. So I'm just going to limp stab again. He actually min raises me here, and I'm just done with a hand. I know I'm getting good immediate odds. Implied odds are reasonable as well, but 7-3 out of position, and I don't need those chips. I've got 3x my starting stack, and I've not done anything too crazy. There is no reason for me to believe that I can't continue to chip up without having to do anything pretty whack. So Premium Nerd stacks it in for his final 6 BB, and Christy makes an easy call, and we reach the bubble, which is good news for me. Again, Not planning on doing anything too